When we did the pre-season predictions, we were thinking 8th to 3rd, like, you know, in a bracket, like it might not go great, it might go really good because there were so many new players. And I did say a lot of times, if you look back and check the episodes, I did say I was worried about throwing so many new players into a squad with a new manager. It's a massive amount of change. But again, the lack of creativity, the lack of controlling the midfield, all of the same problems. And one key thing that you pointed out before the show, second half seems to get worse often.
That's the problem at the moment. And listen, I'm not Pochettino out or anything like that, but no one's above criticism. And the criticism you'd have to level at him in this situation is, why is it for the vast majority of the games that we've lost, we come out worse in the second half? Even in the games, for example, that we've drawn, like let's say, for example, against Arsenal, we were a lot better in the first half than we were in the second half. So bearing in mind, you've got that time there to be able to assess from the sidelines with your own mature head maybe what the young personnel on the pitch aren't able to see because they're too close to the picture to see the bigger picture at the time. When you've given them the opportunity at half time and they go out and play worse, once or twice you think, okay, maybe, you know, ignorance of youth and whatnot. When it's happening every time we're trailing, we're coming out and playing worse in the second half, then you have to ask, what's going on in that dressing room? Is the right message being delivered to the players, or are you just really unlucky that you've got a collective of players who just aren't able to take the messages on board that you're telling them?
For me, one of the main worries was 2 weeks ago on the show, I said, he's throwing the players under the bus in November. Yeah. Alarm bells. I said that is highly unusual for a new manager to have all these new players and then basically call them out in public like that. That's usually when you're at your last chance. I don't know what else to say. I need to publicly shame them into performing for me. And I pointed that out and said that would really worry me. Since then, loss against Man United, loss against Everton, and it looks like it's getting worse, actually.
Do you know what the concerning thing is as well, right? The other day, me and you sat, I had to drink my sorrows away in the end because we were pitiful against Man United. Absolutely toothless. And I was saying, right, I can almost accept, right, some of the downfalls in our game being ones that is just like, look, lack of experience, you know, our disciplinary record, for example, our lack of game management. There's a lot of attributes that we're showing in these games, negative ones, that I can put down to just the age of the squad. But then the Man United game was an eye-opener, and when I was like, do you know what? We're just really not good enough. Not only that, we haven't done what we need to do in this match, and there needs to be drastic changes. I called for drastic changes. I named a changed 11, and there was only one player that I got wrong from my predicted changed 11 today that went into the match. So when I saw the starting lineup, I thought, brilliant. Okay, Poch is a big watcher of the channel, but like I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, good. Okay, we're trying something different here. And even today, it wasn't even down to lack of effort. Lack of effort isn't something I could label at them today. Lack of class.
And that's the biggest alarm bell for me, is when you spend all of that money, like what we said at the start of the season, I was like, you're gambling massively. And the strategy was, you bring in all of these young players, all right, some of them won't work, but you'll retain so much value and sell-on value that it's a good investment. This is looking terrible. This is like the midfield, the centre midfield is working so badly. 200 million plus pounds worth of players in there who cannot for the life of them control a game against a team who were battling relegation for the last 3 years today.
Yeah, but of course, it's gonna. Do you know what? Right, you bring one other element in, one other player in who does something different, and all of a sudden it can elevate all of them. If me and you are cooking dinner, we want to get a spaghetti bolognese. I can't only buy tomatoes. I might say it's best ingredient though. Can't only buy it. I need everything else. So at the minute we've gone, yeah, but the youth, you know, sell on value. It's a brilliant ingredient to have. Brilliant, yes, but you've only bought that. We need a couple of 25-year-olds in there who have leadership skills, who know how to see out games, and who know how to elevate those around them. And until we have that, you can't really expect anything different. Alan Hansen said once years ago, you can't win anything with kids, didn't he? And at the time it was sort of laughed upon because straight away Man United go and do it with kids. But actually he was right. How many times in history have we ever seen it work apart from that one isolated instance? Really, you can't win anything with purely kids. And when you look at our lineup today, now we've got Thiago Silva out of the lineup. What's the average age? 21 or something like that? None of these lot know what they're doing. They
win games with kids though. Can win games. We're not asking to win the league.
Listen, you can do a lot better than we're doing. You can definitely do a lot better than we're doing. And that's why we need to ask questions in other areas here. But at the end of the day...
Would you say that one of our worst performances of the season was against Man United?
Yeah.
Always true.
So you look at the team against Man United, right? You go Sanchez 25, Thiago Silva 39, Disasi 25, Cucurella is in his mid-20s as well, Sterling 29. Yeah, we've got some young players in and around them, but it's not like you got fucking 17-year-olds playing. Like Man United have 18-year-olds playing for them. We don't have any 18-year-olds. So like to say now that we've got a team full of kids and they're the ones that are letting us down. Yes, a lot of them are young, but there are a lot of experienced boys, and actually they are the ones that potentially are underperforming the most. Like you look at how, Sterling's got a lot of goals and assists for us, but overall play, not sure about. Thiago Silva finally is looking his age. Finally.
Well, he didn't even play today.
Can I tell you one other thing from watching today's game as well, which people are laugh at? Actually, our defence looked a lot better today without Thiago Silva in there.
Yeah. And that tells you everything you need to know.
But you conceded 2.
So says it all though, doesn't it? That's what I'm saying. It looked a lot better without Thiago Silva. We still conceded 2 goals.
Yeah, my only concern is that like you've got Caicedo there, Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher in midfield. That midfield, they're good players. They should be performing at a higher level.
This is the point that we need to get at to now is, right, this is the first game that I really do feel that Poch is going to be under pressure. And the reason why I think that is because I looked at Man United, and my biggest criticism with Man United is they don't have a tactical identity and a style. Whenever I watch them, I don't really know what they're trying to achieve. If you're watching a Klopp team or an Arteta team or a Pep team, you go, all right, he's trying to do something. He's doing inverted wingers, or he's doing something interesting with the defence, or Klopp's got these very high wingers that rotate and do everything like that. When I'm looking at Poch's setup now, I'm just going, right, it's a 4-2-3-1 / a 4-3-3. We kind of put the passes in very standard areas. We're not really doing anything unique. Sometimes we play a centre back at left back, and that's basically it, right? So to say that it's all the players' fault, I think is a little bit harsh now. And I actually want to see a bit more pressure on Pochettino to go, you've got to instill something. You've got to put some tactical identity in. And also sometimes you've got to rip up the script. Like, a couple of Chelsea fans have been saying maybe you should be playing 5 at the back. Maybe you got to we were so open against United. 4.4 XG, probably one of the most open games we've probably ever seen. I honestly really do feel that. And we've played against some unbelievable teams at Chelsea. And Man United, a dysfunctional team, have torn us apart. So we've got to do something tactically different. Because if we don't, we're just going to be sleepwalking into this, again, bottom half of the table finish.
I think the only thing that goes in Pochettino's favour here, if we go regardless of his track record working with young players and this and that and Premier League experience, we've now seen 5 managers, whether it was only for a game or 2, but in total 5 managers take reins of this squad that Todd Bowley's leadership has assembled, right? We've seen 5 managers, and Pochettino is really not doing any worse or any better than any of them. So at some point, I think the only thing which Chelsea fans sort of think is, okay, is it the manager when no one can get a tune out of these lot? Like literally no one can get a tune. The ironic thing to that is you compare his record at this same point to Graham Potter's. Graham Potter was doing a fair bit better.
Then you have your answer, then he is doing worse. And for me, it's actually getting worse the more I watch it. Like, actually, there was times earlier in the season against Arsenal, against Liverpool, where you put in really solid performances where there was more of an identity. The identity seems to be slipping away from this team right now. And that's where I highlighted the point of you're throwing the players under the bus now. Let's see what this does. It's not done a great deal, in my opinion. Right, let's just get down to actually where they are on the table. They're 12th in the table, but they're level on points with Brentford, Wolves and Bournemouth. There is no way that there is the same level of quality in those teams.
No way.
As we've said, if it wasn't for the points deduction, Everton would be on 23 points, Chelsea would be on 19. So that speaks volumes. We know Poch is under pressure now. We just know he has to be. It's impossible to be this bad. So let's say he is sacked. Because I know you don't want him sacked because you want to do the best you can as fans and just back him as long as you can. Who comes in?
This is the thing, this is why we're not shouting for him to be sacked, because it's very difficult to come up with a better option right now in terms of bringing the club forward. I can only think of ex-Chelsea managers that
I know who comes in. It's Jose, isn't it?
You think you take it?
I don't want Poch sacks. It's not me saying I want Poch
Would you welcome him back?
Jose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with everything that's happened, the clubs that
Jose,
he's the greatest ever manager.
Yeah,
I agree, but I think it's tough now to see how far he's fallen off, and to say, we're desperate to.
Do you know what that is though? It's either like the boyfriend and girlfriend who have both fallen off. Like Chelsea aren't better than Jose ain't better than Chelsea. It's like, hey, looks like we've tried a load of other people and didn't fucking work out.
Well, I mean,
See, this is the thing about Jose, though. Jose came in an era where he could get the best players in the world and he could assemble this sort of Galactico squad. This is the complete opposite of that.
I disagree, though. If you'd have given him that fucking billion before it went up in flames, like maybe he would have done better, in my opinion, than Todd Bowley doing it on his own.
If we take aside, right, how long potentially Jose is going to stay, is he a project manager? You know, we ban that word about everywhere. If you take away that and you go, from tomorrow, Jose takes the reins of this squad or Pochettino stays in charge, who out of those two finishes of us higher in the league?
I think this season Jose would finish, but long term, I'd rather have Poch. Yeah.
Listen, I'm a massive Jose Mourinho fan. I've been on this show many times throughout the years defending Jose Mourinho, but I think with young players in this current climate, 2023, the way football is, the psychology of football, I have to admit that he doesn't really work well because players need to be wrapped in cotton wool now. You need to really be empathetic as a human being. It goes more than just being a coach. Jose is that old school manager. He's that guy that just will tell you about yourself, and then these players get all, their confidence dips. I don't know with these young players in this whole new environment if they could live with someone like Jose, personally.
I do think that Jose's game and the way he treats players is adapting, though, and maybe we don't realise it as much because he's not managing on these shores. Like, I think the job he's done at Rome was really good. He's got his arm around. Say, for example, Lukaku was a player that he'd fallen out of in the past, and now he's got him banging goals for him. So I do think that, like Jose's game has adapted a little bit. I am not saying I want Jose instead of Mauricio Pochettino, but if Mauricio Pochettino is to be sacked tomorrow, what we need to then look at is what is the market we're shopping in? Because I'll tell you what, Josh, you mentioned Ancelotti a minute ago. I'd love Ancelotti. We are absolutely pissing in the wind if we think Ancelotti is going to, leave Real Madrid. You could say, yeah, but his contract's coming to an end. Okay, he's got the Brazil job on the table. He ain't going to come Chelsea. Ancelotti ain't going to come Chelsea. Like,
probably go Man United before Chelsea.
Exactly. And there's a lot of managers out there that I just don't think we're able to attract at this moment in time, because if, say, for example, Mauricio Pochettino is given the chop, it's not only that, it's what message that sends to every other manager. All of a sudden, you're going there, and you'll be given a good contract and potentially get a good payoff when you get sacked. But let's make no, questions about it. You've got 4 or 5 months. And if after that you ain't doing nothing in this squad, you're gone. You're gone as well. And then it's a stain on your CV. And you can go, Chelsea sack everyone. But a lot of managers will think about this. So if you're thinking we can attract an Ancelotti, a Zidane, someone like that, we just can't get anyone like that anymore. So now it's like, you use the phrase, Brian, pick your poison. And I don't want to say that Pochettino is poison, but you know what I mean? What do? Do we risk it? Do all of that again to very possibly, if we're going on the track record under Bowley's ownership so far, end up in the exact same position in a couple of months' time? Or do we stick with Pochettino?
We have to stick with him.
Do you know what I would
have to? It would be so naive and so quick-minded decisions to get rid of him now. It would just be stupid. Well,
yeah, he's performing horrifically. So, I understand anyone who wants rid of him. If your opinion of a Chelsea fan is this ain't good enough, you deserve to be sacked. I can't argue that you're wrong. But long term, it's hard to judge Poch without a striker who scores goals. That is key. Going forward, they're so wasteful. And also with the current situation just throughout the squad in lacking a real spine.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
Chelsea's next few fixtures now, we've got a run of fixtures where really we should be going on a nice little run now. We've got in the league Sheffield United at home, then we've got Wolves. It's a hard game, but we've got Crystal Palace, Luton, Fulham, all the way until the end of January when we face off with Liverpool, right? That's 5 odd games in there that realistically, if we're looking at the squad we've got, regardless of our performances this season and the fact we're underperforming, we should be taking maximum points out of all those games there. So I think that this run of fixtures will definitely determine Pochettino's fate. If we, look, I am not Pochettino out. I think Pochettino's the man for the job. Is it taking longer than I thought it would be? Yeah. Do I think that we'd be seeing way more signs that we're going in the right direction at this point in time? Yeah. Do I think there's anyone possibly better out there for us? I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
I got one broad question for the table. Is this a case of unfulfilled talent, Or is this a case of it's been spent horrendously and now we're looking at a case of this may be one of the, in regards to money spent versus money coming back in for the players when you eventually do sell them, one of the biggest drop-offs in Premier League history. Right now, when I'm watching you guys, I'm not thinking, oh, Chelsea are underperforming. I'm watching players be consistent. Chelsea have been consistent this season in that the levels are just not what people thought they were, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is. I don't think we'll be able to recoup anywhere near the same amount of money if we were to move these guys on within the space of 12 months or something like that. But then again, I'll always sort of dial back to the fact that if you look at Unai Emery, if you look at Eddie Howe, the jobs that they've done at their respective clubs, okay, yes, they've obviously brought signings in, but for the most part, there's so many players in that Aston Villa team who at the time, let's say for example, Leon Bailey had already come into the club. I think he was a signing under Gerrard, and you were looking at him going, he don't look that good. All of a sudden, he looks like a world beater. We look at Buendia. I know he's out injured at the moment, but again, he was another one that you were like, look good at Norwich, doesn't look that good at Villa. All of a sudden, he's a really good player. So I do think that it's a conversation that is valid to be having right now. But, and it isn't me saying I want it, if another manager comes in, all of a sudden, we're looking at a lot of these guys and we go, oh, do you know what? Actually, they're really good players, and then it could change. At this moment in time, if we just carry on getting the level of performances we're seeing from them, Enzo Fernandez isn't worth 40 million, let alone 100 million. Caicedo's not worth 100 million. I don't know if he's worth half of it. Same for every single big name signing in there, really.
What are you thinking about this, Craig?
See, there's a big issue that I don't think anyone's spoken about yet. It's all very well and good saying move the players on. There's only so many Saudi deals that Todd Bowley can get away with. The problem he's going to have is moving these guys on 6, 7, 8 year contracts who are sitting there with a nice paycheck guaranteed. Their agents telling them, you stay where you are, son. They're not going to get that money elsewhere.
And what the worry is what not only will you not get the money elsewhere, you might not be able to get rid of them at all. And then you've just got them sitting there. And then you've got culture and all of that.
It's a risky strategy that Bowley's gone in with. What I think from the outside is you need to just manage expectations. No manager is going to be able to put together a cast of thousands and have them playing in a season. I think the worst thing that Pochettino did was guaranteeing that European football. Because to the rest of us, on the outside, I look at that and laugh every week. But I tell you, I would stick with Pochettino and I would stick with that group of players and write a season or two off. It's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. But I think in the long term, it will benefit because continuity is huge. Look, you mentioned Mourinho. That Porto team, he kept it together. That's how we won that Champions League. Continuity is huge. I've learned that under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, that keeping the same group together is so important. So I think you've done good business.
Mauricio Pochettino's had a few words to say after today's match. This was a game we needed to play and needed to win. It's a problem we need to check. We need to analyse the reality. We need to try and improve in the next transfer window. So he's pretty much
the window himself.
He's brought up the window himself. We need to try and improve in the next transfer window. Pretty much saying that the personnel he's got at the moment isn't up to scratch. So again, it's not exactly what you were saying in terms of like throwing players under the bus or blaming the players. But again, it's pretty much saying there the ones I've got aren't good enough. Also, he's I don't know whether I'm reading too much into this, but this I perceive could be almost writing off the season, which I know we know, but we'd want the manager to keep on with it. It's a new project. It's a new team. Too many circumstances. It's tough to explain. Too many problems and circumstances for this season. It's not easy to build something new.
To us mere mortals who haven't had £1 billion to spend, it sounds ludicrous.